Welcome back, family, to Due Diligence. This is Justin Moran, your co-host, following with Aidan Grazia as our other co-host, coming back to you guys with another amazing episode. Definitely glad to be back with you guys with my childhood friend, Ian Grafmuller. I have been playing Manhunt and Cops and Robbers with this man for, 15 years now. Seen a lot of cuts and bruises, fights, snot rockets, and everything in between with this guy. He's awesome. It's been really cool to see how he's developed and and grown into his skin over time. But Ian, thank you for being with us. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I will say I don't think that I grew into my skin. I kind of grew out of it. I had a lot more when we were kids.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's an interesting image that goes into my head. Grown into your skin, just like walking around as like a infant, with just like a ton of skin.
Just dragging it behind you.
Well, it helped back in those days because I think sometimes your dad kind of aimed a little bit with those slap shots once in a while.
Yes. My for context, Ian and I and the kids in the neighborhood, including my dad, would play street hockey like it was running out of business. Like we played like clockwork, and my dad was like notorious for his just wind up slap shots. And we're all like 12 years old. My dad's out here just shooting beams, and we're all like, run. And Ian, I know Ian got caught with many of those to the shins, the backs, the everything.
Dude, that's
I wasn't on
when
skates. It was harder to get away. Y'all were on skates.
I know. Yeah. Oh my
running.
gosh. Talk about hybrid skill. Some of us were on skates, and then someone like Ian would be on foot. So Ian's all agile and whatnot. We'll be flying in like 20 miles an hour. We just can't stop. So we're going full speed into you, running into the goalie, running into the net, whatever it takes though. That was some good old days. Graz, do you guys play hockey up there in Jersey?
No, I didn't play. I mean, very occasionally, definitely wasn't organized. Played a lot of soccer. And like very informal soccer. It's more recess type of stuff. And I feel like my neck of the woods in this town, it's, I don't know, I feel like at least my street, Justin knows this, but I live on a dead end off of a dead end. Only 3 houses on my entire street.
Boring.
And what'd you say?
Boring.
Yeah. I thought you said poor. And I was like, what?
It come off as like a P. I was like, not pouring, boring.
You're just like poor.
No, just cooking my boy on the podcast.
I didn't really have street hockey or like no block parties, nothing like that. But I would go to my friends' block parties and across town and eat all their food and stuff. Good times.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now Ian, us throwing it back in the day with all of our sports, this, that, and the other.
Moran throwing it back.
What? Throwing it back. Well, Ian, throwing it back. Wow,
that's crazy.
We're off to a great start here. But just a little context. Ian and I grew up together in the same neighborhood, and then what do you think the year gap was before? Like we didn't see each other for what I want to say 2 years in person, probably.
Probably it timed up with COVID hitting, really.
Okay, and, that makes sense.
I think we both just got jobs during that time, and life got busy.
Life got busy. It was crazy. It's so crazy. I would see those things on your For You page where it's like you never know when the last time of like going outside is with your boys, or the last time you're gonna play hockey, or the last time. It's like if we knew that was. I mean, it's not. We could play again sometime in the next month, but if you knew that was going to be your last time, how hard would you freaking play? You'd play so hard.
So you take it that way. You take it more of as like you would play harder in the street hockey. I would just like take a moment to appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I was definitely going there as well, but just to keep the competitive side in it. No, but yeah, just cherishing it, cherishing all that. Because thinking about it, years later in the same neighborhood, I've never seen our style of organized sports and playing, especially with COVID.
Oh
That's good.
That was a sponsored ad.
Sorry, not sponsored. Celsius. Ooh, George Janko. Celsius. We would love to have you on. Do you like one of those little 60-second breaks?
Yeah.
Hey, when
I
I'm
mean,
studying
they
in the
sponsor a lot
library,
of they sponsor a lot of podcasts.
yeah, leave it in the back like this,
Yeah.
right there.
Hold up. Let me.
Yo,
There
oh,
we go.
and we
I
got
think
Come on.
C4, and Moran is
Black water
granola.
cup. Black water cup.
Black water. Moran likes black things.
Me too.
My girlfriend's half black. She's awesome. We love her.
Whoa, you thought we were going there? That's
Do
crazy.
you like that half more?
I speak Spanish too. She's half Puerto Rican, so I think it's a good mix. I
He
like.
speaks
Okay.
more Spanish than she does.
Dang.
And
She's gonna cry when she hears that one.
But by him saying he speaks Spanish, he does speak a good amount of Spanish. But there's a funny story about when we went to Costa Rica, and we were in a grocery store, and he went up to the cash register, and the lady behind it and just said "Como se dice," and then proceeded to list our entire grocery list in English. So he was like, "Como se dice steak, eggs, milk, pineapple, mango," and she was like, "Dog, I can't help you with that. I speak Spanish."
So she was just hearing, how do you say, how do you say, how do you say? Just didn't know anything I was saying after that.
Estoy
Yeah.
aprendiendo.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm,
we need to-
I'm learning.
Let's bring it back to English. I can't understand this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, Graz shuts down when he hears any words of Spanish.
Yeah, start like tweaking it.
That must have sucked. Didn't you just go to Spain?
I did. I did in
Yeah,
fact just go to Spain.
I watched the pod. Come on.
Dude, let's go. This guest is seasoned. I'm already liking Ian. And for
yeah, you had the power outage. I remember.
Dude, this guy
couldn't find gas.
This is elite ball knowledge right here.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I love that. Seasoned veteran right here. I feel like Ian's already my best friend. This is amazing. Ian, I love you. Yeah, we had one phone call before this because Moran was late as usual.
That is so cap. I was on the phone call with you guys.
Cap. No, me and Ian had a phone call previous to that phone call.
To be fair, it was a little early.
Before the allotted shooting time.
Yeah, because I tried contacting you and you just didn't answer. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Got you right back.
I have a funny story to start us off. It really doesn't apply to anything that we've been talking about, but I need to say it before I forget it. So, my dad is an avid hiker. He hikes in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. He's doing all 48 4,000-foot mountains, and he's currently at like 30. He's been doing it for 2 summers. This is going to be his 3rd summer. He's trying to complete it this time. And this was his first 4,000-footer of the year. And being in New Hampshire, there are black bears. And in his backpack, he carries bear spray. And the night before this first hike of the year, he went out to dinner with my mom and a bunch of the friends in the community. And they were just talking about the things that they have in his backpack for like spare change of clothes, jacket, gloves in case it gets cold, like protein bars in case he like breaks his femur and needs to stay there until a helicopter can come, stuff like that. One of those things is bear spray. And you can think of this like pepper spray, but
worse.
Significantly more intense. Yes. And it basically just like burns your skin, from what I've heard. And he would keep it inside of his backpack, like inside of like the zipper all the way down at the bottom of his backpack. And at the dinner, they reasonably came to the assumption that that's probably not a good place to keep it, correct? Like, no, there's a bear. 1 second, let me grab my bear spray. Like, it doesn't work. So he moved it to the outside, like in the water, in like the water holder on the side of the backpack. He was walking up this first hike, and he was like probably 3/4 of the way to the top of the mountain, and it got tight with all the trees and the steep path, and he hit the backpack on a tree.
Oh,
the bear spray started going off, sprayed all over him, and he was like panicking because it was all over his clothes, all over the backpack. He was in the middle of this path. He had to strip down naked in the middle of this woods in the middle of New Hampshire to change into new clothes.
No,
That's
way.
brutal.
Yeah, and yeah, he still has the bear spray. It's like half full still, so better not hope he hits any more trees.
Yo, I
but good-
totally. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say good thing he had to change of clothes.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I thought he hit the tree and it like punctured a hole in it and it blew it up. It just like blew up all over him and it hit his eyes. Oh, that'd be so bad. Oh my
Speaking
gosh.
of pepper spray, when I was like a little kid, I was probably like 5 years old, and I was like, I don't know, I was curious, and I was just like alone upstairs in my parents' bedroom, so I was like, I'm gonna go through their things, and I come across this little spray thing, and I've been watching movies, and I'm like, oh cool, that's the stuff that people use to get girls. So I just went
What?
with like
my god.
with pepper
Oh.
spray, and I start freaking out. Like they throw me in a shower. They don't. I don't know what it was, so I can't
Dumping
explain.
milk on you.
Yeah, I can't explain what's happened. I'm just freaking out. I don't
Wait,
know
so
that.
your parents were there. They just weren't upstairs with you.
Yeah, I was a little goober that like
Oh.
ran off and did something stupid, and they end up
Oh my
like they don't know
God.
what else to do. They call like the
Poison
fire
control?
department or like
That's an interesting person.
or like the ambulance. Like they call 911.
Yeah. Get the
like-
fire extinguisher in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it was crazy, dude. I had a fire in my house, so I called my
Poison
movie
control.
specialist. Like, what?
Go on,
But
Ian.
they send out the because I guess when you call 911 here, they send an ambulance and they always send like a fire truck for some reason. And when they got there, it had kind of already started to subside a little bit, luckily. So I just got a free tour of a fire truck at like 5, and that was the coolest thing ever. So for a while, I
That's
associated pain with getting to see a fire truck.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
I mean-
I would
So
after following that, I feel like you'd be like a fireman, but I guess that didn't happen.
I thought about it.
Yeah. I feel like every 5 to 8-year-old has that. I want to be a firefighter. And then they
Yeah.
see guys just inhaling just black smoke for 14 minutes straight. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, no way.
Talk
Respect to
about
all of
an
our
overload of
firefighters.
testosterone. Those kids, as 5-year-olds, they just see the fire truck and they're just neurotransmitters are firing, dude. They're like, test.
They're kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate hearing them. Just attention whores. Hey,
You hate hearing them what?
I just hate hearing them like go by.
What,
They're
the,
just so
the fire?
loud.
Oh, the fire. Oh,
I thought you meant 5-year-old kids. I was like, dang.
Oh,
like,
those
dang,
two.
bro. Lord.
It's annoying.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, one of there's this kid who like our high school would do I really don't. Ian, you might remember what it was called. Every day, not every day. It was like once a year at QO. They would do the scene if someone was like drinking and driving and then got in a car accident, died, and like the whole
Every 15 minutes.
every 15 minutes, then the fire department would come and like Grazia was essentially really just, hey, don't drink and drive.
We had one of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in it. I was supposed to be in the senior year one in the helicopter getting helied out to the hospital.
You guys had a
You rented a
helicopter?
helicopter?
Dude.
That's Summit, New Jersey for you. Oh my
Dude,
god.
we got the
What?
funding, dude. Taxpayers
Dude,
are
they're-
paying for a helicopter. Absolutely.
Bro, they'd put the body in a freaking wagon and just wheel you. No, I'm kidding, but
It's like an Amish play.
yeah, that is hilarious. That's freaking hilarious.
That's a good time.
But Ian, I wanted to when I brought up when I didn't see you for 2 years, like the Ian I grew up with versus the Ian that I met after. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Amazing transformation. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to kind of elaborate what kind of journey you were going on before, when of course we were growing up together and whatnot. What happened during COVID, and then of course to the end result of the present result, where now it's the current Ian Grafmuller.
Yeah, well, throughout high school, I was just tubby. I was a big boy.
You were
I mean, I
fat?
was Oh yeah, I was like 300 pounds.
What?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Dude. You're
But
gonna
then
need to send me a picture like separately, or you can show it.
I don't know if I
No,
just
you don't have
have
to show. You
one.
don't have to show. You don't have to show.
But
Oh, Moran, nice
my
belly button.
oh, there you go. But I guess it
I'll
was
turn
one
my
day
fan off.
like towards the end of COVID, my buddy was just like, "Yo, come to this powerlifting gym with me." I'm like, "Okay, sounds sick. Powerlifting, that sounds like a cool word." And I just get hooked immediately. Like they put me on like a routine.
Mhm.
So like some good friends here. And this is where I mess up because I'm like, okay, from my reading, I need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. I didn't really know what that meant. I thought that just meant restrict it as much as your body can allow it. So for like a solid 9 months, I went to the gym every single day, no rest day for 9 months on 400 calories every day. It was awful, but it worked.
400 calories is like
Yeah.
3 Chips Ahoy cookies.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. For
What
me,
is-
it was. For me, it was like 3 protein shakes and a ham and Swiss Lunchables.
3 protein shakes.
Yeah.
What was in the protein shake? Just water and whey protein?
Nah, it was like the bad 7-Eleven ones, like Muscle Milk.
And those have like 100 calories? What? I feel like those have so many calories.
No, I'd say probably like 200 max. So maybe it was somewhere around 400 to like 600 calories total.
Yeah,
But still,
it was
even if it
low.
was even
mean,
less
that's
than
crazy.
1,000 calories in it, because I remember
Mhm.
when we first had our conversation, you're like, I've been going to the gym like crazy. Because I remember we had a little fire pit outside my house, and you came. I think that was the
Mhm.
first time I'd seen you. I was like, dude. One, you weren't as tall. Ian's like 6'2" now, roughly, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
You weren't as tall? You got
dude,
shorter?
He was like,
It was like the weight was compressing my bones.
Oh,
So like when I
could
lost
be.
weight, I just kind of
You just like stretch.
went up.
Dang.
and I was so baffled. I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I mean, Ian and I both, like, anytime we like hang out, eat, like we're eating goldfish and Papa John's dunked in ranch, and just like we're just absolutely like we're both just not eating right whatsoever. And of course things will happen because of that, and just to see the freaking night and day shift of whoa, Ian is like fit, and Ian has traps. Like what just happened? Like this is crazy.
So there's the real method. Don't listen to Sam Sulek and Alex Eubanks. 400 calories a day, no rest days for a year.
Clip it.
You might die.
You know, all
you
those
might you might
fitness
get there.
influencers, all those fitness influencers
They've got it wrong.
preach whatever you're trying to preach, but we have proven results right here with Ian.
Facts.
Maximum calorie deficit, and every single day hit the gym. I don't care if you're feeling tired, feeling bad about yourself, go hit the gym and don't eat food, and you're gonna get results. That's the answer. Do you know what a crazy thing that I saw?
Yeah.
Talking about maximum calorie deficit is who's the mall cop? Is it Paul Blart?
Paul Blart.
Is that his real name?
No.
No, Kevin
well,
James.
Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin James. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was doing a fast for his daughter. His daughter was not feeling well, and she just like had a hole in her heart. And he was
like a spiritual hole or a physical hole?
not physical, spiritual.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Maybe physical. But to my
Hope
knowledge,
not.
it was spiritual. And he was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna fast for my daughter. And he started fasting, and he got like 5 days in, and then she called him and was like, I'm feeling like really good. Like, have you been like doing anything? He's like, oh yeah, like I've been fasting. Guess how long he fasted for in total?
How long?
I mean,
I have
I
no
need
clue.
guesses.
Okay, 2
I've
weeks.
actually heard it before, not from you, so I didn't want to guess.
All right,
2 weeks.
okay.
15 days?
41 and a half days.
I did not know 41 and a half. That is crazy.
41 and a half days is
No
so
food
crazy.
at all. Like no
food at all.
Just
What is that?
water.
Just water.
Ain't that the Moses number?
Jesus
For the
fasted for
tablets?
40 days and 40 nights. There's a lot of 40-day interval
Yeah, that's true.
moments in the Bible. But dude, 41 and a half days. Now, we should study this. Do you know what Kevin James' weight was before the fast?
He had some fat on him.
Hella.
Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty.
Yeah. See,
That
like,
boy had a few.
I could not physically do that at my state, at my metabolic rate. I could not do a 41 and a half day fast. I would die. But since he had the fat storages, he could.
We got to get Bert Kreischer to do it.
Dude, Bert Kreischer's so funny.
And instead of drinking water, just beer. Just
He's
beer
not
and
a
fasting.
machine anymore.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fast.
Yeah, that has calories. That breaks the fast.
I think that's the worst type of fast ever. Just the only thing you're consuming is alcohol.
Just poison. That's a good sway into a subject. We'll actually cover that after. But Ian, with you, from start to finish, from like when you started exercising to like when like, of course you're still working out and whatnot.
Mhm.
What was the total like weight loss? Was it like 80? Was it 90? Was it 100? And was it in 9 months? Was it in a year?
It was 125. And where did that thumbs up come from? I'm sorry.
Graz, I think you're
No way.
I'm doing a thumbs up right now.
It
It
put a
did it.
thumbs up because it
It's
was
so-
like rested like that.
Dude, I don't.
Sorry.
Alright, I gotta cover my thumbs.
That was
Sorry,
awesome.
I'm not looking at myself, so I can't
But
see it.
I lost 125 and I got down to like 160 pounds, but that was just like way too light. So then I
That's
had
like
to put
me.
weight back on. And I've kind of found a good spot. Like I've been kind of hanging around 6'2", 215 for like probably a year now, and I've just been trying to maintain.
I
Damn,
feel
you're
like
a
you
specimen, dog. Get him in.
Yep. Look
Big
at you, bro.
boy.
I see you filling out that shirt, bro. I see the biceps coming through there. Let's go, bro. Let's freaking go. That's so crazy, dude. Just like seeing when you just grow up with someone and you just see him one way, you don't see him for a couple years, and then you're like, whoa, like you were just in the hyperbolic time chamber, just locked in. It was definitely really freaking awesome to see. Very cool to see. But you're a testimony, bro. Like people listening here, whether it is in fitness or not, you can go from A to Z with 9 months locked in, right?
Yeah,
1 year locked in. 1 year can change
it-
your life.
And I mean, it doesn't really matter how you get there. Like it does in a sense, but if you're putting in work, results will happen. It'll differ based on the type of work you're putting in, but
I would say it does
just
matter
lucky it
how you
worked
get
out.
there, though, because
does-
in this
Okay.
culture, I think people might take that as, oh, I'm gonna go get weight loss surgery at 18,
yes,
and
yeah.
you're like,
or Ozempic.
yeah,
Right? You're like, I should have put an asterisk there.
True.
it's on your own will. You can accomplish it. You can
Yeah.
absolutely accomplish anything that you set your mind to, whether that's a goal that you have in business, a goal that you have in your spiritual life, or a physical goal that you have. If you just put your mind to it and you don't get wrapped up in social media and you can actually think long term, and by long term, I mean not even a year, you're going to have massive improvements in your life.
Absolutely. And that's why, especially like using like Ozempic as an example, some people like Ozempic is a peptide. It'll help you burn fat faster without you doing extra work for it, right? And I say, yeah, that might help you in one moment of time, but you haven't built the habit of working out. So it's going to come back. It's going to come back, right? And I say to like anyone who I used to be a personal trainer asking to lose weight, it's like, dude, when you take the shortcuts, it'll always come back to haunt you. The weight will come back, the lack of discipline will come back. But if you do it the long way, and this is like a spiritual revelation, a lot of what God does in people's lives can take a really long time, right? You think of like the Israelites wandering around the desert for 40 years before they got to the promised land. You need to build the habit before you get the result so you can maintain the result, right? And especially in the weight loss and fitness journey, it's like, Ian, like you, like on average, how many days a week would you say you go to the gym?
Now, For a little bit, I've been in a fog, but like I try to keep it at least 3.
At least 3. Dude, a person working out 3 days a week is like probably top 10 percentile of Americans. Working out even more, 5%, right? The kid like going to lift 3 days a week, that's incredible. Having that consistency over months, years, dude, like the results will show, and they will keep showing. But yeah, trying quick sprints with Ozempic and just things of that nature, it doesn't build the discipline that you're going to need in the long run. And that goes with anything, like you said, like Roz said, spiritual, business, relationships, the whole 9. Cutting corners. I'm sure we've all been burned from cutting some corner short. It's like, I should have just been more patient, put in more work. It would have been better in the long run. But Ian, very proud of you for your whole journey, fitness journey.
I mean, thank you, but I would do it differently 10 out of 10 times.
All right. You're like, bro, I just wanted to eat food, man.
I'm glad I did it, but nobody listened to me. Don't do it the way I did it. It's not good for you, because like it was so hard not to rubber band back up once I started introducing calories again. So I'd have to do like double the lifting when I started just eating normal people amount of food. And then I had to do that for like months just to stay.
Yeah. Those protein farts are probably crazy.
They're isolates. I only do isolate. We're all right.
Okay, all right, there we go.
You know how I actually lost a lot of weight without meaning to? It was, what year was that? Junior year of college. And that's when I first got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was prescribed Adderall.
Oh boy.
And for me, Adderall ruined my appetite. And I would wake up, and for those of you that know me, I'm awful at waking up anything near when I'm supposed to. And I'm always late to the first thing that I have in the morning. So it was class for my junior year. So I would wake up late, and I would take my Adderall for class, not having time to eat anything. So I would go to class, taking Adderall, get absolutely laser focused on like dolphins or something. And then I wouldn't eat for the rest of the day until dinner, because like I was like appalled by the thought of eating. It just turned me off so bad from any type of food. To then I actually, within probably 2 or 3 months, I lost 15 pounds. I went from 150 down to 135. And I was like, oh, this is not good. I looked sickly. And then, so now we're on other things. And now we can eat, and we're on a good regimen. And then
there we go.
I actually got into a powerlifting routine as well up in New Hampshire. And I was up to like 157. I haven't weighed myself in a bit, but I'm probably right around there.
Let's go.
I kind of felt better after I just don't own a scale. Like honestly, I think it's been at least beneficial for me, because like I'll hyper analyze it. Like that number will like, if I hop on it in the morning, I'll think about it all day. Like if I'm waking up and I'm feeling good, if I feel like I've got energy, I want to go to the gym, I want to work out, I want to eat healthy, I feel like you can more so you got to take tips from of what your own body's telling you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the wisest things that anyone has said on this podcast thus far. And I think the underlying story there is happiness doesn't come from a result or winning or obtaining a certain thing. Happiness is a state within your heart. And if you feel good, then you feel good.
Yeah.
And you don't need to justify why you feel. It's like, oh, this number is going to make me feel good. No, it's not. It's not going to make you feel good. There are things within yourself that you're going to feel good about. And for me, it's my relationship with God. It's my just overall well-being, staying fit. And whether since the weather has gotten warmer, I've seen a big shift in my staying fit from going to the gym in the winter to playing a ton of pickleball, probably like an inhumane amount of pickleball.
Great sport.
It is. It is one of the best, if not
Put
the
it in the
best.
Olympics.
Right?
Seriously. Seriously.
I mean, they're putting football, they put skateboarding in. It's next.
It
Aiden,
has to be.
Aiden would drop everything he's pursuing right now to go pursue being a full-time pickleball Olympian. He's got the crazy nice rackets, the shoes. Like, bro is locked in. He is so locked in.
I'm shredded. I'm locked in. Moran, you got to play with some of my boys up in Summit. They're so good. They're cracked.
I could keep up though, right?
I mean, yeah, I keep up, but they're definitely better than me. So
just slicing it right around the net, back left corner. You're like, I can't return that.
Genuinely. One is a past tennis player, and one just grinded at school. Like, he'd play every single day, and he's just a dog. Yeah, just breaking down like his slices or his dinks, his kitchen dinks are just second to none, dude. I like how we go about feeling complete to just
getting technical at pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah.
Let's go.
Technicalities in pickleball. Yeah,
Sounds
but
like
going back to,
well,
yeah, dude.
yeah,
We're living life in a pure
that's
way.
Textbook Epicureanism right there.
Mm.
Epicureanism. Shout out to Ian for being a philosopher, or on his way to being a philosopher, because he definitely. I have no idea what that means, but Ian does a lot of research with.
It was Epicurus from like 400 BC, Greek guy, kind of a little after Plato, but like he basically made it his life's philosophy that the way that he would feel the best is to reduce suffering as much as he could, like and like not like typical suffering, just like pain, like general things that aren't enjoyable, and to just like limit what you allow that you like. So it's like a reduced form of like hedonism, if that makes any sense, but like to just try to stay in this like perpetual general positive kind of space. It was really, really interesting for the time.
It's you say, like, when you say the word suffering, I immediately think of Buddhism, or specific. I know Buddhism has a lot of different like sects in it, but it's like focused on like dealing with suffering and like being okay with suffering. Which, and this is even as a Christian, like when I look at other religions, are there some teachings that I do like, oh, that I see that as a net positive? Yes, I do. Right. Like even like in Islam, in the Quran, there are scriptures in there that are talking about like feeding the homeless people and things of that nature. Like, awesome, net positive, right?
Yeah.
And this is where that's a good transition. Aiden, if you didn't know, like Ian, and you can go into it more. I don't know for how long, but definitely has been on a deep dive, just looking into different philosophies, religions, faiths, and just everything in between, for different purposes. Ian and I actually grabbed food, what was it, a couple months ago now, had an awesome conversation.
Yeah, probably a month or two now.
Yeah. Had an awesome conversation about it. Definitely still have eons of more conversations to go. But yeah, Ian, what really got you into looking deeper into just like philosophies and religions?
I think it's just it's ever prevalent, like around us, especially where we are. We're lucky to be in such a diverse place. Like, we have this part of Gaithersburg that has, I believe, a mosque, a temple, and a church on like the same street. So it's like there's just so much variety around here, and I've never really been very spiritual. So it really was just like, everybody around here is into something. I want to learn more. So I just kind of grabbed whatever ancient texts from each like each foundational, I guess, text, and I've been reading through as many as I can find. Like I mean, obviously the Bible, the Quran. I even have a Book of Mormon. See what that's about. The Bhagavad Gita, for like some Hindu stuff, and then outside of that, just general uh, like philosophical works. So like Nietzsche and Jean Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, different. Just it just branches off. Like everywhere is just a different rabbit hole. Uh, so I guess that's kind of just what's gotten me into it, and now I'm just hooked.
Now you're just like, oh my gosh, I got to learn everything about everyone. And I'm sure different ones probably resonate more with you in different aspects of it than
For
others.
sure.
What would you say your top 3 to 5 philosophies or religions or faiths that you say are resonating more with you?
What are your top 5 religions right now?
Jainism. I like sweeping the ground before I sweep or before I step. No,
Okay.
that one's crazy. That's
My man
the
is
ultimate reduce suffering. Those Jainism, they'll literally with a broom sweep the ground before they walk because they don't want to kill any life, even if it's like a little ant. Like
Wow.
their entire life.
dang.
It's there's
You
some
know
Wow.
wild
what?
stuff out there, but
How
I've
big
def
is that population? I feel like we can make some cool invention for that to help them
I
out.
have no clue.
just get a leaf blower.
That's there you go. Look at Moran, the entrepreneurial mindset, problem solver.
There we go. Dude, Jainisms would freaking crucify me. I've definitely killed so many ants in my days.
Mm.
Oh, for sure. With a magnifying glass when I was a little
Oh
kid and it
my
was sunny out.
gosh. You like
Feel
put it, you
horrible.
do like the
Cooked 'em.
Sharpie box so it's like can't escape and then you do them. Oh man. Gosh. Sorry for any Jainists on here. I apologize.
I'd be surprised. I don't
Apologize.
know if they're really online. They're kind of like the Amish in that regard. Although I've been seeing Amish people online, so I've got my eye on you.
Okay.
What's up with that?
Someone's breaking some rules.
Yeah. But I'd say like going back to what's been like hitting recently, I've been really liking existentialism because it's like nihilism but without the like sad. If
Could
that may
you
like
could you break both of those down? For those
yeah,
of us that are less in touch with these philosophies.
yeah. Nihilism was a kind of way of thinking that was, I guess, mainly popularized by Friedrich Nietzsche in the late 1800s before he ultimately went insane. But it kind of he broke everything down that was bugging him, and um, he would write collections of his thoughts. Those were kind of his books, and in that he stumbled upon the thought that nothing has any meaning, uh, and there's no purpose whatsoever. And it's like, ooh, that's kind of sad. Like it had a lot of emphasis on like nothing matters, who cares kind of attitude.
Mhm.
And then existentialism comes along afterwards, popularized by like Jean Paul Sartre, where it's like, okay, if we assume nothing matters, who cares? It's like chaos, but they like embraced it as being beautiful chaos, and that meaning is what you apply to it. Like whatever life's meaning is yours to make of it. Which was a more hopeful version of it.
Mhm.
So I find it pretty
So
interesting.
when you say that you're feeling more in touch with existentialism,
Mhm.
you're just associating more with the chaos associated with it, or I'm
Mhm.
just having a hard time picturing like when you say that you are leaning more into that, is that you're just reading more into it, or you're uh, really developing those ideologies and thinking that
A mix of
nothing matters? Because
both.
that was one thing that really brought me to search. It was the idea of life is chaos. Is there a deeper meaning? Why are we here? What happens after we die?
I mean, I
That's
feel
something
like
that scared me.
that's always been the question. I mean, I can't think of any sort of like belief system or religion that doesn't aim to answer that
Mhm.
question at the end of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I guess I would be following it a little bit, where I'm just kind of in a mode where it's like, all I know is I can't predict the future. I don't know what happens, and I'll embrace saying I don't know, and I'll go with it, and I'll try to live the rest of my life as happy as I can make it, and as pleasant and helpful for those around me as I'm able to, and then just kind of seeking fulfillment
Mhm.
through that.
And I see a lot of correlation there with the Christian ideology in the sense that we are surrendered to Christ. We know that our plans are broken, and it's nothing compared to the overall plan of God and Jesus, um, and just kind of living our life in a way that is surrendered to Him to give positivity to all and love to all. Um, I think there's a lot of overlap in that sense. So I'd love to hear more about the one thing that really interests me is the chaos. And when you originally said chaos, it reminded me of the theory of entropy. Well, not the theory of entropy, just entropy in general, which is
Mhm.
everything going to disorder. It always takes work to go against entropy to make something more clean. Your room, for example, if you just don't put any energy in to clean your room, it's going to be horribly messy. But then once you put your clothes away, you make your bed, it's clean again, and you are
Yeah.
reversing entropy.
Uh,
Yeah, what's up?
what was the question in that?
I don't know, to be completely honest there.
Okay.
I just kinda went on a side tangent.
I
So
agree.
so
Bro's like, yes, entropy,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
entropy, yeah, science, bringing it all back. So I don't when you say you are following in a sense, how does that chaos come in? You're just kind of you're doing what you can and realizing that you can't make you can't do everything. You can't make your plan. I mean, you can
Yeah.
of course make a plan, but um, it's not necessarily going to go to your plan to a T. And you just at a certain point kind of have to raise your shoulders and go, well, I'm just going to still be positive. I'm still going to live my life in a way that I enjoy.
I'm gonna live my life in a way that will mitigate as much chaos as possible.
Mm,
S I guess is the way that I'd have to traverse that.
mhm,
Mhm. I know the last time we were talking, Ian,
Mhm.
I'm not sure how hard you claimed it, but you were like, you obviously were searching. So you're like, I haven't like or at the point, I feel like a couple months ago, you hadn't found like a exact faith or philosophy to kind of fully cling on to. You were like, I'm like kind of in the agnostic space. And for those who don't know what an agnostic means, it's like someone who believes in a divine creation or creator.
Well,
Um,
no,
or
they don't hold a belief either way. They don't
oh,
believe
okay.
nor disbelieve. I guess would be the way.
Well,
That
my
would just be a deist. A deist believes that there's something.
okay, my grandfather would claim to be like he's actually of Jewish descent, but he'd be like an agnostic, saying like he believes in a creator, but just like nothing specific. So whether that's deist or his version of agnosticism or whatnot. But I know we had a conversation that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. One of the reasons that like you were still open to searching the deist side of things was because you were struggling with the conversation about um, how can nothing turn into everything, or how could everything, this entire universe, come from absolutely nothing? Was that true, or was there like a
In
different?
in a way, I mean, since then I've kind of learned a little bit more. I'm agnostic as far as it'll take me. Like, because I feel like I've got a grasp on what I can understand up to a point. which would be the absolute, Big Bang. Everything gets here and life starts. That's kind of the part where I think science can almost agree, where it's like it's hard to know exactly when and how everything started. The Big Bang is like the best possible guess.
Mm-hmm. And always, Aiden, I'm sure you can kind of relate to that. For context for him, he was a neurobiology, physiology, brainiac major, but he was, I don't know if you were an atheist, Graz, or if you just didn't really know.
I never put forth the time nor effort to, I don't know. I was just kind of living life for myself, and I didn't spare time to think about topics that scared me. Yeah. So I knew, thinking about something like the Big Bang, there has to be something that starts it. There can't, it's a really difficult,
The unmoved mover kind of
bingo.
way of thinking.
It's
Yeah.
it's such a
Or
hard
yeah.
thing to put into words. So creation, however small or however large, Moran, going back to you cannot turn nothing into something. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed, and only can be transformed. It had to be created at some point, unless it was here forever. But what does that mean? When did it
Didn't
start?
they?
Like, my mind has such a hard time wrapping around that. But
that's where, like, the God particle, the what was it? That what was the actual name for it? But where it's this huge machine that I believe it was a complete vacuum, and they got a particle in it. They gave it all the, like, I guess, conditions of an empty space to try to get that evidence, and they got the God particle. Was it the Higgs boson? I forget what it was.
I'm not familiar. But you're saying that in a vacuum, there was gas within the vacuum, and they took everything out, and then out of nothing, something formed?
Yes, I need to look more on that.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen
conversation.
that study.
Yeah, I need to research more on that one.
Yeah, and I feel like, something that goes directly against what law is that? Is it second law of thermodynamics? Maybe. Or is that an object in motion stays in motion? I'm not sure.
I thought that was is Newton's laws thermodynamics?
Yes, it's Newton's second law. Newton's second law. Thank you, Dad. I graduated a year ago, and now I just forgot my entire 4 years. It's fine.
Different
We don't
paths.
talk about it. We don't talk about it. Newton's second law, correct. So something like that, I feel like that had to have been broadcast. If those were the absolute results, that would be incredibly groundbreaking. But going back to, quote unquote, the Big Bang, I don't see the Big Bang as mutually exclusive with a creator. I think that they are actually very correlated. And I think one comes from the other. I think there's a creator, and the creator created a Big Bang. And from the Big Bang,
another possible problem is we're not sure that there was nothing. That's another problem. That still hasn't been answered, that there was ever a nothing to begin with.
That's what my mind has a really hard time fathoming. Just going back for all of eternity, it's like there was never nothing. So then there was always something.
It changes like the theory of time.
It's like that's just, my brain can't even fathom.
And that's like, because the universe is infinitely expanding, and the Big Bang Theory is saying that and Joe Rogan talks about this. It's like, everyone talks about it, but the Big Bang Theory is saying that the universe that is now infinitely expanding was the size smaller than the point of a pen. And it, of course, had a Big Bang, and now it's ever expanding.
Yeah.
If it's ever expanding, that means at some point in time it was smaller than that eye of the needle. And then, of course, even modern science, someone like my grandfather believes that there's a creator because of very famous scientists, like I can't remember his name, but like the inventor of or the theorist of quantum mechanics, like was a believer in God. And they actually funny enough, the author or the person who came up with the Big Bang theory was a priest. Like he was a theist Christian priest who was like, yeah, there must have been some Big Bang. Of course, he was attaching it to God. And then as time went on,
The
more
Big
through the
Bang
atheistic.
Theory, as in the theory itself, or the show?
The whole universe was not the show.
Sheldon, obviously.
Yeah, obviously he's
It was him.
But when it goes back to the time thing, if something's infinitely expanding, that means at some point there was a time where it was that at the smallest, I guess, physical part you could get, which is where like most scientists are like, yeah, like time has a start and a finish, meaning that because again this universe is infinitely expanding, there was a time where that clock hadn't started yet. And then so that's where that's where faith comes in. Just inevitably, that's where faith comes in. And that's why this search that we have can get so intricate, because it's like, how many different ways can we go about searching for what brings the best evidence to that answer or to that question? And
That's
so
that's
go on.
kind of where I have the problem with I guess the Christian and Judaic explanation of creation, because I don't really know how that correlates with how far we've gotten in science now, because it's not 6,000 years, and some of the foundational days of creation would have been in the wrong order. Like, plants can't come before the sun. If there was no sun, the earth couldn't have just been roaring waters, because it couldn't be liquid water before a sun. So that's where it's kind of confusing to me.
I'm gonna see science there. You can't have water without a sun.
No, you can't. It would be frozen.
Oh, good point. Now, when it comes to the creation, the 6,000 year, that's a theory. That's not like a biblical
Yeah.
fact. There's scholars who will say 6,000 years, and or biblical scholars who will say much longer.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the young Earth creationist kind of.
yes, yes, absolutely. And then, of course, there's also the argument on like an opposing side of like, oh, like if we take this fossil you can do a carbon test, I believe it's called, and it's like, oh, this is 3 million years old or whatnot based off this carbon test. And of course, if we're trying to stay consistent within the Christian worldview, how was Adam created? The first human, according to Scripture, it was a man. It wasn't an embryo. It wasn't a baby. It didn't grow. No, it was a fully grown man. And so what that's showing is, okay, God created something in its complete form before its originator. And so if by theory, if God can create a man as a fully grown and developed man, why can he not produce and create a fully developed earth before he puts man to go and have dominion over it? And so when you think about like the consistency of, okay, if he can create man like that, why can't he create the earth? Okay, it makes sense that now that there's an earth to go and have dominion over, I'm going to put someone and people, his creation, there to go and build and harvest and be fruitful and multiply.
I suppose, but why would that need the millions of years of extinction of species beforehand to get to man?
You find like
Need?
dinosaurs?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it needs. That's for certain. And I think a big topic of this is, while you're referring to God's creation of man and creating him in the adult form, and people will come back with like, no, it has to grow up. It needs someone to take care of it, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like a lot of these explanations are dealt with in saying that I really try when thinking about these topics, to not put God in a box, whether that's not even put God in a box to like think of what God looks like. I just know
Mhm.
that God is all powerful and that he can do all things. And whether it's moving a mountain, whether it's creating, whether it's destroying, God can do all things. And that was a big thing that I couldn't wrap my head around in the very beginning. And I try to just always keep a very wide explanation of he can do all. He can do whatever he pleases. And in doing that, I think that's where the faith comes in. And I think faith is described, people are, you have faith in no matter what you believe in. Even if you don't even bring in theology and creation into faith, you have faith in everyday objects. Like I have faith in this chair right now that's going to keep me up. Um, it takes faith to not believe in God as well.
I mean, I guess to actively, but if it's just like, I mean, I don't really attribute faith to it. I just kind of take what's presented,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Like, I think faith is kind of tricky because, like, I have faith in this chair because of repeated experience sitting in it and feeling it and being attached to it. That's harder to attribute to something omniscient and omnipresent and by definition unknowing. Like you can't. There's no way to know.
I totally agree. And I was in a very similar position before coming to faith in Christ, but now having a relationship with Christ, I can say the same thing. And with experience in this chair and sitting in it in repetition, I have experiencing Christ, having a relationship with him and feeling him repetitively and knowing that he was there at my highest points, at my lowest points. And when I call on his name, I know that he is listening and he will answer. And that's one of the things that it only came to me after putting my faith in him, after calling on his name blindly and being like, I hope this works. That was when those sorts of instances started occurring where that repetition of faith really kicked in for me.
Word.
And see, that's in if it's in the Old Testament and the New Testament, so it's a consistent message from God. He says, "When you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me." That's God speaking in the Old Testament, and Jesus, as God incarnate, as the Son of God on earth, he says, "Seek me, and ye shall find," or "Seek and ye shall find." So, some of those things, like if in the similar scenario, if we have a chair there and we know it can be sat and we don't know if it's going to hold us up. We could sit down, we could fall flat in our face. But until we sit down in it, we'll never know. And so that is what I find a lot of people who uh, are searching for things or whatnot and kind of have like similar questions that you have. What we would say scripture would say is try it, test God, call out to him. Like I tell people, it's like, what's the worst that can happen by talking to God? Right? Maybe he's not real. Maybe he doesn't even exist. But what can it hurt, or how can it hurt you to go to this being that apparently loves you a lot, apparently loved you enough to send his one and only son to die for you? What could it hurt to tell someone, an extra person who apparently cares, loves, and wants to hear you out and walk you through these valleys? What could it hurt me to go and bring my problems to him? Right. And so that's where I believe that's kind of similar to what Graz went through. And Graz was going through some things in his life as I was talking to him about God. And then I was like, you know what? Like, it's not my job to change his mind. God, and I'm like, God is going to do his thing. So I'm like, here's a Bible. Here's a Bible, brother. Read it. Right. And Ian, I know you've been reading Isaiah, but we can get into that in a minute.
I've read
And,
the whole thing. I'm just rereading.
Got you. And it's like, all right, searching and reading with an open heart.
Mhm.
And Graz, did you start immediately like praying, or I can't remember what obviously you were reading. You're reading the Gospel of John.
I think I was praying, um, doing it in the way that I knew how, and by the way, by how I knew was I didn't know it all. I was just kind of talking out loud, and I think that's an important part of it. Science has only led to prove the Bible true, and speaking your words out loud, whatever you're going through, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's thanks or whether it's asking, making a concrete idea into words is a powerful thing. Whether you're saying it to the one and only God or you're saying it to yourself out loud, it's very important and for healing or for your own clarity of thought. It's important to say things out loud, and that's
Do you
kind
mind
of
if
how
I
I got
get
started in prayer.
clarification on something?
Huh?
You were saying like science has proven the Bible to be true.
Mhm.
How so?
So, in circumstances, there's never been a scientific discovery that disproved the Bible. Like, if there was,
In a
um,
sense, yes, because like evolutionary records, like I believe in evolution,
mhm.
which would which would in which would disprove Adam and Eve,
So I also believe in evolution of animals. So
but not of
I'm
humans.
correct.
Okay.
So when we were talking about new world, was it new world history, old world history, something like that? I believe in a long history. I believe that there were dinosaurs that were extinct. I believe that um, animals were evolving. It is all part of God's creation, and God did create them. And I believe that humans have a soul. Humans are different in the sense that we have a soul. We have uh, higher order thinking, and an ability to reason, an ability to love like animals do not. And they have bits and pieces of it. They just don't have the full connection to God that we have.
Okay. So what about like the like Neanderthals? Do you think like Adam and Eve would have been like kind of looking like that, and then I guess I guess your term would be microevolution would kind of lead it to be a little different now, or do you think they looked our image now?
Weren't
um,
Neanderthals a middle ground between like
th-
apes and humans?
yeah, it's
In
different
a way,
species,
but
correct?
we didn't really come from apes. That's kind of a common misconception about evolution. We came from a
Yeah,
similar class, but it was the same uh we came from the same common ancestor way beforehand. Something like the Tiktaalik, which was an ancient kind of mud skipper type fish that
it's a
was
sick name. The
yeah, the
tick to lick.
Tiktaalik, but it was like it was it was like the first fossil record of something that could prop itself up on four strong limbs at like low tides. That was thought to be the uh, whoa, this is kind of what we've predicted to find in this general location. They're following the path that I guess science has left.
Yeah, so Moran, to clarify evolutionary trees, um, we're kind of co-evolving with them. So you can think of in an evolutionary perspective, it's humans would be here, monkeys would be here, the sharks would be here, fish would be here, whatever, so on. And we're on our own different branches. And from a common ancestor, we start at a single point, and then we go up, and then we split, and then we're two different, and then we continuing to evolve together, and then we split, and we split. And then let's say we have a common ancestor. For example, this is a Tiktaalik, and it splits, and then however many splits again, but then the most recent common ancestor between us and let's say a silverback gorilla.
Okay.
It would be split and then we co-evolved together. It's not that we're coming from a silverback gorilla, it would be we're coming from a common ancestor down here
Yeah.
and we kind of
Yeah, due
both
to
evolved from there.
locations of where they've
Mhm.
reproduced, different needs, like what would fit their survival in that specific area,
Mhm.
would kind of differ the species that we have now.
Correct. And there's so many different niches to where
Mhm.
um, some traits would be selected for, and we would just evolve into them. And I totally believe that for animals, but I don't see where the soul that a human has comes from in the ancestral trees. I
I think that it's kind of developed from being social creatures, that we had a better chance of survival by not attacking our fellow humans, like human race. That souls kind of developed as uh, through evolution, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I see it, where it made sense for the survival of the species to not steal from the same species because they're already social creatures and they were kind of already working together for common goals.
So it sounds like the Ten Commandments.
well to
No, I was
not
just like,
steal, as
Oh,
in, but then we look at wars, and then we look at ancient wars, whether it be the Crusades or World War II. It's
Mhm.
there is conflict, and
100%.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would it be the human? I don't know how many. I don't know how many in the evolutionary perspective. I don't know how many like different species there are in total. Why
so
humans
many.
being the
It's
only
in
one with that higher order thinking in that soul? That's like very, very, especially because again, if we're derived from evolution without a god, that means everything's an accident, which also means that there's no purpose, but everything's an accident. So
Mhm.
it's like how that one out of however many species, what are the odds that they have higher order thinking and that they have the ability to love? I know that's been one huge thing that animals do have oxytocin, so that's like a love chemical. So like dogs have crazy amount of oxytocin. So like no matter if you haven't seen your dog in a week or you haven't seen him in
Oh, yeah.
7 minutes, like you come back in the door, they'll be like, oh, they're going to be like the same amount of excitement. Um, but when it comes to um, like a sacrificial love or going out of your way, because again, you think of animals. Like animals are, I mean, even the sweetest of dogs. What is their number one priority? It's food. Their number one priority is I'm hungry. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just them. You can have a lovely owner and then someone with a fat nice steak, and they're gonna go get the steak, right?
Mhm.
There's something in humans that develops there's something in humans like love that is acted out and acted upon that I don't see in other species at the magnitude it is in humans, and that is because in my worldview I follow the Christian worldview where we are made in the image of God only as humans. Animals are, in our opinion, are not made in the image of God. Of course, I have a dog. I love my dog. She's awesome. But I would say that myself, Ian, and Aidan are made fearfully and wonderfully in the image of God, meaning they bear the image of a divine creator with high order thinking, creativity, love, etc. And this whole conversation. I mean, there's literally, I'm sure you like get lost on so many like different,
For
not
sure.
not get lost, but I'm sure you go down so many different books and
Mhm.
readings or whatnot, and you're like, bro, this is like, there's an infinite amount of them. There's so many. I can't. There's so many different faiths and philosophies out there. I don't know the actual number, but what I what I see out of very common, if we're just talking about religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, those are typically the five most popular, if we're going with most popular.
Yeah, for sure.
If you ask all of them, they all, to my knowledge, with the exception of one or two of Hinduism or Buddhism, all acknowledge Jesus. So if we're looking at like, because again, like, why do I believe George Washington existed? Because of historical manuscripts. Why do I exist? Genghis Khan existed because of historical manuscripts. And when it comes to Jesus, when you look at Islam, he's a prophet. When you look in Hinduism or Buddhism, this is where I'm ask you guys do your own research. They acknowledge him as an enlightened one. Like he's acknowledged and in all these different phases and time
I think
periods.
that was Josephus,
Well, Josie,
the
the
ancient that where he like acknowledged that like he was like an ancient Hebrew writer.
well, if you talk to Buddhists and Hindus, they don't say Jesus didn't exist. They acknowledge
Mhm.
his existence, and they're like he was a very enlightened one. He was far ahead of his time and things of that nature. So all of these main faiths acknowledge him. So it's like okay, he is the most popular and quote unquote famous person in all of antiquity, and it's like okay, that's cool. It's cool to be famous, but like being famous doesn't necessarily mean much until you want to look at more evidence. When you go and ask Jesus, according to manuscripts, who he says he is, he doesn't just say he's a prophet. He doesn't just say he's like a cool, enlightened one. He claims to be God. And
Well,
that is where it's like,
in a way, he didn't say I am God because he spoke in parables. He wasn't that, you know, said. He would say stuff like it, like I before Abraham I am, which was like, yeah, that's kind of him claiming it.
before Abraham was like, yeah, like when Moses asked the
Yeah,
burning bush or
he
asked God in
used
the
the
burning
words
bush,
I am.
which is the translation Yahweh. There's many differences. That could be a whole
Hmm.
podcast of itself.
Yeah,
I would believe.
I believe
Go on.
Jesus existed. Like that's not one of something that I'm worried about. I just don't know how it can be proven with claims of the miracles.
Miracles as a more as like walking on water, healing the blind, raising the
The
dead, or like his
resurrection,
resurrection.
the resurrection is one of the biggest ones.
Got you. This um you guys mind? You've actually Ian, have you read all of Isaiah yet, or are you still
Hmm.
going through Isaiah?
Oh,
Okay.
I've read it all. I've read the whole book.
Okay.
My boy read the scripture.
Okay. Got you. Got you. How long did it take you, by the way?
Like 2 months, 3 months.
Jeez,
Really?
dude.
I was
You were
I was
moving.
doing like a
My
book.
boys.
I was doing a book every two. I was doing a book like every 2 days.
Okay.
Dang.
Alrighty.
The Old
You might.
Testament took forever.
You're knee
Okay.
deep in Psalms, dude. Oh my goodness.
Okay. You have Ian, you might have a recent memory of this, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
I have the Bible right here. I'm gonna read a
Here, I'll get my.
passage.
Do you do NIV?
I have an NIV, yes.
Okay,
There you go.
I have NIV.
My boy got the Holy Bible. I'm gonna read this, and you already know it, but
Mhm.
before I tell you what passage it is, I want you to guess it. Graz, you may know this. I
Where are we,
probably think you
Isaiah?
do. Huh? No,
Isaiah?
no, I'm just gonna read one from anyone, and I want you to ask and kind of say, is this from the Old Testament or the New Testament, based off like the verbiage of it. You up for that?
Okay, based off
All
the
right, bet.
verbiage.
Yeah, just like what it sounds like,
Okay.
which, because I'm sure as you've seen, there's a kind of the language of course, there's a main theme, but the way things are spoken about kind of change as you go from Old Testament to New Testament. You might have seen that as you read.
Somewhat. They're kind of different book to book sometimes, though. Like even in the Old Testament, like comparing Jeremiah to Exodus
Oh yeah, absolutely,
is just
absolutely.
very different.
Different stories, different
Like
things going on,
like
different.
Jeremiah sounds like it could be in the New Testament.
Yeah, and that's why you look in, and of course you'll see like vice versa. Like when you read the book of Hebrews in the New Testament,
Mhm.
it's like I don't know if it's quoting a lot of things that happened in the Old Testament, as it's a kind of a book written for Jews who are becoming Christians and struggling with the dichotomy between Judaism and Christianity. But
Yeah.
it's a it's like 12 verses, so it's not that much. But this is the NIV. It says, "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his land, or in his hand. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with the transgressors, for he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Based
That
off
was
of
only
those,
12 verses.
it was only 12 verses.
That was a
Long,
long 12 verses.
long
Yeah.
12 verses. Ian, based off of that verbiage, would you say that lines up more with the Old Testament or more with the New Testament?
Probably old. It kind of sounds like Job,
Kind of sounds like Job, not
but
Job.
it's not Job. I know it's not Job.
Very good. I'm sure you probably found Job interesting.
I found it horrifying.
Bro, just down horrendous.
No, I like, if I'm gonna be honest, I've just got problems with it because he lived his life righteously, and I also feel like by putting him through all this, like, I get how it can be a story of redemption and stuff, and how he got everything back twofold. He also lost some family members. You don't get those back. He had more family afterwards, but you don't get those same family members back. And also it kind of defeats free will in that one, because he had no free will in that. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was being punished as a test.
Well, yeah, and that goes. I was talking to someone else about this recently. Just like you going to the gym, Ian, you are. It's putting. Because, like, of course, sometimes a workout feels great. Like, I hit legs and I hate hitting legs. Like, my legs are just. I do like the pendulum squat at DMV Iron, and I'm just like literally screaming of just I want to leave. I hate it. It's those painful trials and tribulations, whether we are the ones who initiate them or not, that help us grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially the most, I would say. And so, of course, it is, and people can battle with the fact that it was totally a test, and the devil was having his way with him, right? And Job
It's
couldn't
his
do
family
anything.
being killed. That's where I have the issue. His family being killed.
And see that,
But
and that,
the family being killed was not God killing the family.
Well, it only happened because he allowed Satan in that bed. Without the approval of God, it he wouldn't have that wouldn't have happened.
well, the quote unquote approval of God is the ability to give us free will. Every single terrible thing that goes on is because of sin and evil. It's not God's doing, but of course God allows his creation to rebel against him. Now in that specific scenario, that's one specific for Job, but that would be the same thing
He
as
didn't rebel.
no, I'm saying the effects of it. So like Satan, what was the first sin? It was Satan being prideful and being cast out of heaven, right? So boom, pride, that's why they say the the root
I
of
thought
all
the
evil,
first
like
sin was eating from the tree of knowledge for man.
before any of that, Satan was or Lucifer was an angel serving the Lord, and he was a jealous angel. He got envious of how God was praised. He found pride and said, "You know what? I want to be worshipped." So of course, that's why in the New Testament Jesus said, "I saw Satan fall like lightning," because of course Jesus is
We all
God.
Ian, you're talking about the first sin of man, correct?
Yes.
in the Garden of Eden. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the
But,
first human sin, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, also Satan is tricky when it comes to the Bible because it does also just translate to the accuser. So notoriously in the Old Testament, there were just times where you're like, wait, that's Satan doing that? It doesn't really sound like it. Where it could just be the usage of the accuser. Like for instance, the first I forget which book it was, but the first action that Satan did. Do y'all know it?
Like
Scripturally, if
first
we're talking,
ever or
The
first in
first
a
thing,
certain book?
the first in the Bible, what was the first thing that uh what the first appearance of Satan, what did he do?
it mentions that he was a musician who served the Lord before the creation of man, and then it said he became prideful and rebelled against God. This is before the creation of man. Are you referring to?
Are
I'm
you talking about a
referring to
timeline,
just
or
like
talking about like in Genesis when the serpent is in the garden?
the first mention of the word itself, Satan. Because I know Satan is attributed to the snake in the garden, but like the first mention of the word, you know?
I'm not
Because it's
entirely
just
sure.
interesting to me. It was
When is it?
just he ordered a king to take a census, just count the population. So like that's kind of where the term Satan is confusing to me in it because
No, but
there's
facts,
some
dude.
parts where it could just be the
Censuses
accuser.
should not be allowed. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm just saying I don't know where to attribute Lucifer in Satan's place when in the Bible with or when it could just be the accuser. Does that make sense? Because Jesus called I forgot who he said it to, but he called one of um his closest followers, get away from me, you Satan. But
he
it
said,
was
"Get away from me, Satan," to Judas, because he was going to
no, it
betray
wasn't.
him.
I don't think it was Judas.
No, he also said that to Peter when
Peter, but
Peter was trying to get him not to go
Mhm.
to the cross. Jesus said, "Get
Yeah.
away from me, Satan." Because why is Jesus saying that? If Jesus doesn't go to the cross, no one can be redeemed of their sin, and no one can inherit eternal life. So he knows that Satan working through Peter in that moment, but get away from me, Satan. I have to go do this, because if I don't go to the cross, then heaven is not attainable. But if I do go to the cross, anyone can be a child of God and inherit eternal life. So that's the
I
that was
guess
the
I think I
thing you're
just read
talking
it
about.
more. I think I just read it more as like Peter was like, wait a second, you don't have to do this. What if this doesn't work? Get away from me, you accuser. And then kind of attributing that to the likeness of Satan. I don't know.
Well, if you look in the New Testament, Jesus and others.
It's pretty
What,
semantics. It's not really a point
Mhm.
that I'd be
Well,
making here. It's just interesting.
yeah,
Ian, I wanna go back. So
Yeah.
you said you weren't confident in the resurrection, which is,
Yes.
of course, the most important part of Christianity.
100%.
We agree that Jesus lived.
Hmm.
We agree that he was a very influential man. A lot of people wrote about him. A lot of famous philosophers, a lot of powerful people of the time.
Hmm.
An overwhelming amount of texts were written about him, and then about the resurrection itself. So we know, based off a lot of writings, was that he was crucified. Do you believe that he was crucified?
Yes. I think he was killed. I don't know about crucifixion. It wasn't a very popular
it was
way.
very popular in Rome for criminals.
See,
It was
see,
It
that's
was
where it
the
doesn't make
most.
sense though, because if he was being crucified by Romans, why was it following Jewish law that he was taken down from the cross by nightfall?
because Jews, that entire land, it wasn't in Rome. It was in Jerusalem. So it's a Jewish populated area controlled by Romans, but Romans didn't overrun like the Jewish religious. They wouldn't make the Jews worship their pagan gods. Like, no, you can be a
Yeah,
Jew.
but that was the point of the crucifixion. It was reserved for they want to leave you up there and you're getting scavenged by animals for days on end. It's like the most humiliating form of being killed back then. It was, I mean, it's horrible. I'm glad it hasn't lasted through history. Uh, but that that's where it kind of disconnects, because I feel like if the Romans did that, they wouldn't allow them to take him down.
So the way that I look at it in regards to being taken down, as Jesus was nearing his death on the cross, being the Son of God, things started happening. So if you look at the end of John, the end of Matthew, it starts talking about, and specifically when he dies, earthquakes happening, crazy storms coming, bolts of lightning, earthquakes that break the ground, complete chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I view that is, with all the chaos ensuing, and they're on top of this mountain overlooking the city, presumably, the Roman soldiers have to ensure that they are dead going into this storm, because I mean something could happen with all the crazy events that are happening and the veil breaking. So for the other two prisoners that were crucified, their legs were broken as proper procedure to ensure that they were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And for Jesus, in order to fulfill prophecy, they did not break any of his bones. They just pierced his side. When the water and the blood came out of his side. And even then, that Roman captain, I don't know what term that what role he held in the army.
Are you talking about Pontius Pilate?
Is it Pilate? It was, I don't know if it was Pilate. Pilate was the ruler, correct?
He was the guy that came to talk to Jesus while he was waiting to be kind of crucified.
Right, so no, it wasn't Pilate. It was the chief Roman guard, like actually within the guard that had the order of crucifying him. And then he came to ensure that he was dead, pierced his side, saw the living water and blood come out of his side. And he actually went on to be a faithful servant of Christ, spreading the gospel. So just saying that, let's just, moving past the crucifixion itself, going to the resurrection. We know that people were following Jesus. There were 12 main disciples, and then it appears in Acts that he resurrected and appeared to 400. So the 12 plus, however many, like 300 and change. So from there, of course, people will argue it is possible that these people had a congregation and decided that they were just going to go and play a trick on the population. And there's a verse in Acts, it might be Acts 2, where they're spreading the gospel, and the high priests in the high courts of Jerusalem have a meeting, and they're like, we need to get a control on this. Like, this is out of hand. We need a control. And one of the high priests goes and says, this has happened before. There have been leaders that have caused uprisings. And in these uprisings, once the leader has died, the uprising falls. The followers cannot follow without the leader. And after the resurrection, of course, we know that Christianity has gotten to the point where it is today. And that is so important for this, because we know that these disciples and these followers of Jesus, these apostles, were going and being tortured for something that they truly believe. Because I don't know about you, but if I like really jokingly wanted to be like, yo, like, Jesus is Lord, I'm gonna go get crucified upside down for this. Like,
St.
I
Peter.
just don't see it exactly. Like, I don't see it as possible to have people go until death to prove something true, unless they truly
if they truly thought it was
with their
true.
own eyes.
But I mean, even if somebody truly thinks something to be true, I don't know how that proves itself.
Well, it's not things. This isn't, hypothetical, theoretical, I think he did. No, these are disciples who walked, talked, and ate with him. So it's the same way that the people who wrote about George Washington, I fully believe that George Washington was real because of the people who sat, talked, and ate with him. It's the same exact transition of historical documentation. And like the reason I had read that chapter before, when we were just talking about the Old and New Testament, the like there's a
Hold
key
on.
pieces of it.
Graz, did you need to take a break or something?
Yeah, there's someone here to grab my couch from the basement. Can we?
Do you want to take a second? Press pause or something?
No, I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. So, do we want to wrap up closing statements? Is that possible?
I mean,
Yeah, I would love to do a part 2. I
yeah,
knew
we
I
can
was
do
like
part two. There's so much to unpack.
When we were talking about Ian coming, I was like, bro, Ian's gonna come on for like 5 times in the next 12 months or something, just because
So
I know
down.
we're gonna.
Has to be. I love
It's
it.
going to be branches.
Incredible.
But something to leave with.
Yeah.
For listeners, Ian, Aidan and I think I've had conversations about this. What I read was Isaiah chapter 53. And so Isaiah chapter 53, if you know about like Jewish temples, Jewish like synagogues teach on, they have the rabbi go over scripture like very slowly for people. Like they don't go through 8 different chapters in one typically. Most synagogues out there do not teach Isaiah 53 anymore. It's like the forbidden chapter. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're reading it, an example like if you have the NIV, Ian, verse 5, but he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. You look down at verse 7, he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. If you look at, of course, verse 10.
All right, I gotta go.
Okay, here I'll end right here.
Moran, like there's someone from Craigslist here. We have to go. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Abrupt stop. I'm so sorry.
It happened.
I have to cut it here, but within the next
part 2 in the works.
Part 2 in the works. This is a part 1. I just gotta say thank you to Ian. Thank you for coming on in this time of the world. These conversations are so important. Open-mindedness to just 100%. Hear both sides and just ask questions and really just get conversations blooming. So to Ian, I have to say thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and let's run it back.
Yeah, it's been great meeting you. Great catching up, Justin.
Yes, sir.
I guess everybody watching, have a great day, and like and subscribe and smash that comment section.
Smash it to the boy.
There you
Shout
go.
out to the boy.
Love you guys. I'm really sorry I have to cut it, but
all right, you're good.
Part 2. We're going consecutive episodes here. All right.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys. Love you guys. Peace.
All right, later.